Hi, I'm Chef Dave West. My wife and I own Rolling Pin Kitchen Emporium in Brandon, Florida, where I'm the executive chef. Today we're going to be talking about how to carve your turkey. In other videos, we've already talked about how to roast it. But today we're going to be, most of you will be doing it over the next week's period of time, and so here's a great idea to figure out how to carve it before the big day gets here. As I told you in the past, I recommend getting two smaller birds. So if you're looking for about 1 pound per person that's going to be eating with you that day, that gives you a little bit of leftover as well as the bones. And so 1 pound does pretty well. If you've got 22 people coming, 22-pound bird is pretty big. So it's really better to get two smaller birds, roast them separately. What that does for you is gives you more breast meat, also allows for you to have one, what I call the Norman Rockwell video, or a turkey, so that you can bring it out and it looks gorgeous, and then you can have the CSI Miami turkey in the background where you've already disassembled it and ready to go in the kitchen, so you can just do a really quick switch out. Before we get started on the actual carving process, I want to talk about a couple of different tools that you might want to consider. The first thing you absolutely need is some kind of thermometer. Most new ovens these days come with a built-in thermometer, and all you have to do is plug it into the sidewall and set the temperature, looking for about 168 degrees, 170 degrees final cooking temperature, and you want to make sure that goes in the thickest part of the bird. If you don't have one that's already built in, you can certainly buy one like this that has the probe that'll go inside of it, long cable that comes out, and then this sits on the outside of the bird, outside of the oven. A couple of other things. So the first thing we would do is remove that thermometer out of the bird itself. Then I've also got, you'll notice some little blue lacers here. These little blue lacers are silicone lacers, and they're meant to hold the legs of the bird together, so it keeps it in a nice knot. So this is reusable. We're just going to take that off. You could certainly use kitchen twine too. Make sure you do purchase kitchen twine though, not or a butcher's twine, not something from the hardware store, because sometimes they have chemicals in them that you wouldn't want to necessarily eat. And the other thing that we've done is I've actually removed the backbone prior to cooking, which I've showed you in other videos before. And you'll notice the lacing that's done on the back here. That's done again with a silicone lacer, just like this. It's got a needle on the end of it so that it laces through, and then you can connect it back together. The removing of the backbone with a really good pair of scissors. You've seen these scissors before. These are Helen Chen scissors. I love them, especially if you're a lefty, because you can put really good pressure and they don't kill your hands. But this, by removing the backbone, this will actually decrease the cooking time by a good 25%, which is awesome. So one of the first things we need to do is remove the actual lacer out of it. Easiest way to do that is just come right back through and pull it out. Now, you don't actually have to do this, but if you don't, you run the risk of actually cutting up your lacer, and it is reusable. So you'll see that it just comes out pretty easily. And you want to keep your bird together, and he's cooked together, so he's going to stay pretty good together. So we'll do this way. Have a good towel next to you so that you can wipe everything off. And again, we can just actually leave this on the bottom too. I just want to make sure that I don't cut it, and I think I've got it to a point where I won't cut it now. So back on the inside now, you'll notice that there's some things falling out of this. Out of it is not bread dressing. I don't recommend that you use bread dressing in your turkey, because you've got to get the internal temperature up to 170 degrees in order to make sure that the bread dressing is safe, which means that the breast meat is going to be well over 250 degrees, which is way too overcooked. So that's not edible stuff. It's just stuff that's going to give the turkey a nice good flavor. So the first thing we're going to do is actually remove the breast meat, which is what everybody really loves. So if you look at the breastbone that runs right along here, just take your knife and cut down right along that breastbone. Of course, one of the other first things you want to do is also take off this really good piece of skin here. This belongs to the chef. That's the good stuff. All right, so we'll take all those herbs, some of those herbs out, and the celery, apple, and carrot that we put in there. And then I'm just going to cut the skin here. And now you'll be able to see that we're just going to run the knife just along the end of the breast and right above the thigh. You just run your knife straight along there, just like that. Really simple. Then take your knife and press against the breastbone and just push it off. So you're pushing the whole breast off in one big fell swoop. Whole breast comes off at one spot. And what this will do for you is, instead of slicing it this way, straight like most people do, you end up with hardly any skin. So by doing it this way, you can actually get now 1-inch pieces carved for everybody. It fits on the plate better with all of the other good things that you're going to be having for Thanksgiving. So you're going to carve it into about 1-inch pieces, and look how beautiful the skin stays on. So everybody gets some of that good crispy skin and some of those great herbs that you stuffed up underneath. And we'll just take this whole piece and lay it on our platter. And of course you can do the fan out portion too, so that it's a little pretty. A la the reason why you do CSI Miami. You want to do this carving in the kitchen. So again, just to repeat, on the other side of the breastbone, copy right down, come right down here, cut the skin loose, right underneath the breast, right against the bone, and then take your knife and literally push against the breastbone. And all I'm doing is literally pushing that breast meat apart, and then the whole piece comes off in one big lump. Again, just taking that, cut it in 1-inch pieces. Oop, pretty skin. And so if everybody gets 2 pretty pieces of this, you're in good shape. Yeah, so nice pretty pieces, those out. Probably a little bite for the chef. Awesome. Really nice and juicy too. All right, the last piece, take off the thigh. And because we already have the lacer taken off, I can actually pull the whole thigh off at once. Now, I usually don't serve this skin that's right along here because it tends to be, where it sits in the pan, it tends to be a little wet. So then all you do is separate, literally separate the leg from the thigh, and then you can take your knife and run just along the bone, taking the whole piece of thigh meat off at once, and then cut that with some skin on each one too. Everybody loves that crispy skin. So then we'll put the dark meat down at one end. You can also use your fingers to just pop this apart. Splash it on your shirt if you need to. And then sometimes with the thigh and the leg, it's actually just a little easier to get a hold of it and just pull it off of the bone in nice good strips. And so this is nice good strips of dark meat that we can lay right along there. And then if you want, you can go ahead and serve the leg right along the side there. Wings I don't usually serve. I save all of the rest of this carcass for turkey bone stew on Sunday after Thanksgiving. But if you want to, you can go ahead and pull it apart too. It tends to be a little sinuous, but really good crispy skin. So hopefully you have a great Thanksgiving. We certainly wish that you and your family have a healthy and prosperous time. Thanks.